Hello, my name is Greg Reed, and I'm the head of tax here at SmartBooks. Today, I want to review with you an important form, Form W-4, Employees Withholding Allowance Certificate. The form itself is very basic. It only has 7 lines. However, the supplemental schedules attached can be complicated. Let's review. Lines 1 through 3 are basic information. So you'll want to make sure that you fill these out with care so that you don't have any clerical errors when filing this with the IRS. Line 4 is only going to apply to you if you've recently changed your last name. And typically, when you do that, you'll get a new Social Security card. If you haven't received that Social Security card, then there may be a situation where your employer will need to withhold at the highest rate, which is something that you may want to avoid. Now, getting into line 5 is where we get into the withholding allowances. And to determine the withholding allowances on line 5, you're going to want to go to the supplemental schedules. The first supplemental schedule that you'll see is the Personal Allowances Worksheet. This worksheet contains several line items and each line item must be completed or in order to determine your total withholdings on line H. Read each line carefully to make sure that it either applies to you or doesn't apply to you, and make sure that you fill out the correct number on that line. Add the numbers up and input that number on line H. Now, this line H may be the number that you put on your line 5 of page 1 of the Form W-4. However, if you have any special circumstances on your tax return, you may need to complete the other 2 schedules. The first schedule is the Deductions, Adjustments, and Additional Income Worksheet. This worksheet is going to be completed if you itemize your deductions or if you have additional non-wage income. Non-wage income includes 1099 income, which includes interest, dividends, and self-employment income. If you do have any significant income from your non-wage income, you may want to review your withholding options with your current CPA, or feel free to always reach out to us and ask for help, as we're always here for you. Now, the next worksheet that you'll want to consider or may apply to you is the 2 Earners Multiple Jobs Worksheet. This worksheet is going to be completed if you have 2 jobs yourself, or if you're married and both you and your spouse work. Now, this form should be completed, is somewhat complicated and should be completed with care, and I would suggest personally that you review this form with your CPA prior to submitting it, just to ensure that you have proper withholding allowances. Now, keep in mind, line 9 here, your answer here on line 9 is going to be input on line 6. Now, line 6 is an additional amount to withhold from your paycheck. This is an actual dollar amount, whereas line 5 is a number used by your payroll company to determine the amount to withhold. Now, moving on to line 7, this is only going to apply to you if you have recently, or if in the prior year you didn't have any tax liability, and in the current year you don't expect to have a tax liability. Most people, this is not going to apply to. However, it may apply to you, and in that case you would write exempt right here. Now, what are the situations where you may need to complete a Form W-4? Well, the obvious ones are when you get a new job, but you may also need to complete if you've been recently married, divorced, if you recently had a child, maybe you started taking care of a parent or a relative, and you can claim the head of household, or you can claim them as a dependent. there's certain situations where you may need to revisit W-4. The other two situations are based on your 2018 tax return at this point. However, whenever you're listening to this, it would be your prior year tax return. If you withheld too much or too little, you'll want to change your allowances. You may want to change your allowances to ensure that you don't get hit with any underpayment penalties, or that you're not essentially using the IRS as a interest-free savings account. So, that money could potentially be in your pocket throughout the year rather than receiving a check at the end of the year or in April. So, as always, we are always here to help you. And if you have any questions filling out your W-4, I'm here. I'm happy to help. And you can reach out to me at greed@smartbookscorp.com, and we can review this form together. Thanks. Have a nice day.